What's up, world? Welcome to NEZtelly. If you are curious when it comes to parenting, if you're worried about things like to spank or not to spank, is disciplining too harsh, is punishment even acceptable, please sit. Today we're talking about a book called The New Dare to Discipline by James Dobson. If you know anything about, if you've ever been curious about reading about parenting, marriage, relationships and all that, you would know who James Dobson is. He has devoted his whole life trying to find interesting ways and great ways to make relationships work. So of course, sit down and let's start the show. Okay, so if this is your first time, I am Nez. Welcome to NEZtelly. 2 times every week we discuss a book. Mondays and Fridays, every Monday and Friday without fail, there's a new content here talking about books, either how to read them, the best way to go about reading them, or actual books. That is what we seem to do more, talk about actual books. Then you can decide whether you should go ahead and read it or not. Thank you so much for coming. So please, to join the community of people that are constantly looking for ways to make their lives better through books, please subscribe, ring the bell, and then like this video. And join the journey. So subscribers, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for always coming back here. You're the best. So today I'm going to talk about The New Dare to Discipline. Now this book is very, very American. Dr. James C. Dobson is an American man, right? So his concerns, or what he was trying to approach in this book, is very American. A lot of us know, or a lot of us would know, that in America kids don't get spanked. Disciplining a child is frowned upon greatly. Like, child services can actually come and take your child away for spanking them. Now here in Africa, we know it's a whole other thing. Some of us know that. Some of us can still feel some battle scars from when we're younger, and we know that it's very different. But a lot of us are raising kids these days wondering whether we should spank. Like, I've had conversations, I've had arguments with even teachers in school and all that as to whether a kid should be spanked or not. So this book actually tried to reach as many things as possible, and oh my god, there's so much to unload. So let's begin as soon as possible. Now, if any of you know anything about Focus on the Family, find Focus on the Family. My king and I are a big fan of James Dobson, because before we got married, we spent time listening to a lot of Focus on the Family casts. I think they were like radio casts that he used to do then, and he would talk about different things, from dating, the best way to enjoy your marriage, the best way to stop so you don't get tired from being married. The man he's up to something, okay? That's what I'm saying, and he's written several books on this matter. But let's begin. So before I start, I wanted to say 2 things that he actually started with by saying this book is very simply written. He said, first of all, understand that with your child you're in charge. Understand that with your child you are in charge. I'm going to get a little personal, make it about myself. I am someone that for the longest time I stopped feeling like I was in charge with my child. I used to think, okay, this is who she is, this is how she is, there's nothing I can do. That doesn't help. That doesn't help this child. Number 2 is that a disciplined child is a productive adult. He believes that the reason why America, and he wrote this book since this book was written in do I have the date? I don't have a date here. He wrote this book in 1970. Yes, I remember. He wrote it in 1970, and then he said that adults were already misbehaving because they weren't raised well as kids. So you can imagine I wonder what he will think now about what's happening now all over the world, actually, when it comes to children not being very productive anymore. Lack of discipline would easily lead to an unproductive adult. If you want a productive adult, understand that you need to discipline that adult as a child from when they are younger. Now, I think it makes sense that I draw the line on where discipline is. A lot of us here in Africa tend to think that discipline has to do with spanking. He actually went on to explain whether we should spank or not spank. From listening to his radio cast, I already knew that he was a pro-spanking person. He believes that children should be spanked. I don't know how he does it in the US, where we know that, it's serious, as it's not allowed, it's a no-no. But he talked about how a child that doesn't quite understand discipline, doesn't understand, the need for a line for a certain thing, that has a tendency to grow up and, I don't know, they don't just get productive. So I'm going to talk about 5 points that I learned from this book that were actually laid out, like he laid it out like this. I'm going to just tell you how it is in the book. So number 1 is respect must not be toyed with. A child understanding respect is so important. A child understanding respect would affect the way they treat people in school. A lot of us believe that we have the right to say what we want to say when we want to say it. There is some truth to that, but there is a need for us to understand the point to respect. Also, understand that it shouldn't be overdone. Like, if someone does something wrong, the person can and should be called out, depending on the context. If a child does not respect their authority in school, they will not respect authority. Okay, they don't respect authority at home, they won't respect authority in school. Same thing will happen with their workplace. The same thing will happen with the way they do their life. They will not respect authority. If they go to work and the their boss in the office tells them, go out and do this, they'll just be like, well, I don't have to deal with you. They don't even understand. They find it hard to deal with the need of hierarchy, the need of the rise. You start from somewhere, then you rise. How will you know when there's a rise when everybody's on the same level in your eye? Do you understand? So respect must not be toyed with a child. I think this is where the importance of understanding that you're in charge is very, very important. That also affects the way they treat you later, because when they are younger, it's like, it's kind of cute. Like when they're below 5, you're like, oh, she says her mind, and it's like, it's so cute. By the time that child says their mind when they are 16, you realize that it's not cute anymore. Trouble. I don't know if you understand. And that is when they are still 16, they're still young. They could get older and it could get worse. So most times when it comes to a family having a unit, having a similar goal, similar values, those things come a lot from the respect. So respect must never be toyed with your child, because it affects the way that they handle hierarchy, their ability to climb up when it comes to places of work, and then when it comes to things concerning life. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the best point of communication is after a child has been disciplined or spanked. Sorry, let me explain the hierarchy first. He said you can start spanking a child at 3, right? Sorry, at 18 months, that's a year and a half. At a year and a half, you can start spanking a child, but the spanking of a child actually does depend on what they do, because it's at 18 that they tend to start understanding where their boundaries are, where they should stop, where it gets too much. You get, so if at 18 a child tries to put their hand inside sockets and you say no, and I don't know if you have a child, any of you have a child or have kids around you, the child will now look at you and smile and try to do the same thing. That's a good time to spank the child. Now, what you choose to spank, it might not be collecting the child and then because they're still young, they might not be able to process well why they are being spanked per se. So do like a flick on the hand. The flick on the hand, like cup on their hand, they will understand that, okay, this one, no matter what happens, this particular one is not allowed. Another thing is controlling your voice. So they said anyway, from 18 months to 3 months, that is where those kind of spanking comes in. You're spanking them based upon a particular action. At between 3 and let's say 6, the spanking should reduce greatly. Find other ways of of disciplining a child. Actually, he said that punishing is actually a very wrong word to use. Discipline a child. When you're disciplining a child this time, use things like, of course, children are different, so everybody has their own wavelength, I must say. But get more creative with punishing, why do I keep saying punishing? Disciplining a child. Get more creative. Try to use things like go to your room, time out. At that point, the child knows what they did and they would have to stop it. But don't wait until they've pulled it to the extreme before you do something about it. If you tell a child, don't scratch on your book. Like in Nigeria here, kids start schooling as little as 18 months. Do you understand? So don't doodle on your book, like a book that is not meant for doodling. Don't doodle it, or don't doodle on the wall. Don't use crayons on the wall, and the child goes on and does it anyway. They know you said they shouldn't do it, and they did, so they want to know what you're going to do. So if you take the crayons away from them and tell them no crayons for you for the next 1 week, I'm telling you, next time they get that crayon, they would likely not touch the wall. But of course, that would depend a lot on how does the child use crayons a lot? Whatever he likes a lot, take it away from them. So that's from that. But you should still spank when the person is outrightly defiling you. If you tell the person no, and the child looks at you and does what they want to do, that's outright defiance. You pick up your switch, or whatever it is that you have that you use for spanking. There has to be a particular thing. Yes, I use that one, smack the child. So do that. That's what I said. That's from 3 to 6. Then from 6 to 10, the spanking should reduce even further. It should be like left. It should be, if possible, if you can do it once a year, it should be reduced greatly. The other forms of discipline should be higher, because that way things like even them being in public, they already know they are going to be in trouble with you when they get home. Because if it's only spanking that you use, some of us here in Nigeria, will you go to a mall and your child will run into a shop that you told her not to run into and you start beating it? You can't do that. Do you understand? So you need to get to a point where, or they start throwing a tantrum. I don't know, you see some of those movies that you see, you go to a mall, you go to a row of groceries and the child just collects and starts scattering things, and you see the mother there looking very tired and helpless. The child will not do that if they know that after doing all this drama that they did, now when they get home, they're going to hear me. In Nigeria, hearing me means that, oh boy, game over to an extent. Do you understand? So she said that whenever you're done with any of these punishments, discipline, either it's spanking or you give them a particular thing to do, like take away their crayons away from them or make them go sit in their room and all that. Anytime you finish any of those, sit down and talk to them. That is the best time to have communication. I noticed this one works with my daughter very well. So the best time to communicate is when just after the child has been disciplined. So that day where you just spank a child and you just bone face and be like, well, I don't care, the child will cry, cry, cry. Some people cry and let the child sleep. The next day we now continue our life like nothing happened. The best time to discipline the child, so a child knows what they did and they can never do it again, they will likely never do it again, is by talking to them just after you finish disciplining them. So like if they cry and throw a tantrum, let them throw a tantrum and cry for whatever it is you did to them. Then when they are done, I'll sit down and explain to them, this is what you did, I did not like it. So yeah, that is what you should do. So number 4 is to control without nagging. She says that you have to get to a point where your kids understand that there's action in action, not action in shouting. Now, I think a lot of us fall into this. I'll say me personally. I won't say a lot of us. Me personally, I fall into this category. I'm someone that if I wanted my daughter to, I changed this because I learned it from my in-laws, my husband's siblings. They taught me. Those ones, they have grown children that are well behaved. So I told them, please, how do you do this thing? Because I find myself in public screaming and screaming and screaming. So like I have to not scream so hard before she will listen to me. And so it's like don't get to the point where you scream. Let your child know from the get-go that once you've told her something, she should consider doing it instantly. Let's use bedtime. Bedtime is the one my daughter kicks against the most. She wants to stay awake forever. It's time for bed, sweetie. Come, bath time. No, I want to. No. She'll kick her. And then I'll go. See, did you not hear me say it's bedtime? Come on, will you get up and say it's bedtime now? Between when I said it's bedtime and when I said, come on, will you go? At that point, as in a lot of time has passed, a lot of energy has passed. Sometimes after bedtime, I am so exhausted. And I do a lot of work in the night. Like my editing, I do a lot of work in the night. So it's like, at that time, I'm so tired, I just want to lie down and sleep. All I did was give birth, I didn't kill anybody. Do you understand? So it's like, don't let yourself get to the point where you have to nag for them to listen. Because what that means for them, first of all, for a child only believes that it's only when things are at their worst or at their most heightened is the only time that things can become serious. They should do something. Other times it's like a suggestion. Should I do it? Whatever. I mean, we're not shouting yet, so since we're not shouting, it's all good. So that's number 3. Get to a point where you can. Okay, so I think my sister-in-law, one of them actually told me, see, what you do is that's she. I think I said doing this with her when she was 4 years old. She's 5 now. She was 4. So it's like I just say what I say. It's time for bed, and then she goes, no. I'll say, sweetie, you have 10 minutes. Do you understand? And I set a time on my clock. If the 10 minutes passes and she doesn't do it, I turn off the television and I send her to her room. And I tell her that maybe the next morning, she has things that she watches on the iPad. I'll tell her next morning she's not going to watch that. All those type of things, like you get creative with it so that she understands, okay, that if I don't go to bed on time, there's a possibility that this thing will happen. So if I say it is bedtime, she gets, can I please have 5 more minutes? I say fine. And then we put our time on my phone, 5 more minutes. I say, okay, 5 minutes is up, let's go. The girl gets up and, as in without, I'm telling you, like soldier, she goes, oh, okay. And she gets up and she goes. So like, when she was watching, but mommy, they are showing blue. I'll say, I'm sorry, baby. And we'll turn it off and, so those things are very important. Learn to, because honestly, I start feeling better. All this heart palpitating, what's that word? Heart jumping up and down, and my voice all that. Stop. I'm so thankful for that. So number 4 is don't saturate your child with materialism. I think that a lot of us actually know about this. But here's what he said, how it affects the child. When a child gets everything they want when they want it, especially when it comes to materialism, it makes them to lose their sense of wonder, their sense of joy. Like the thing is that when you have a child that every time, that's the thing, it affects their ability to appreciate things, whether things you give them or the things that they acquire, or things like even like the sun, sitting down and appreciating the sun, things like that, appreciating, oh, the breeze is beautiful, looking up and saying, oh, this is going to be a good day. It affects their job, the job that they will do when they get older. It might pay them more, but they're just like, how much is this one? What's there? So it's like it affects their ability to, and there's no life isn't actually lived to the fullest, or it's not lived to the fullest when there's no opportunity to have joy on the smallest things, or laughing at little things. So yes, the importance of not killing the child with materialism is very important. Then last, definitely not the least, that's the 5th one, establish a balance between love and discipline. Don't discipline your child if your child doesn't know that you love them. Do you understand? And it's not in saying it. Do you understand? Don't say, I love you, Abby. I love you. So I love you. It's not in saying it. I don't know. A lot of us Africans, I don't know if all of you fall into this table with me. All of us knew our parents loved us. But how many of us actually heard our parents say it? I don't remember. Like I keep thinking, my dad ever say, I love you? I don't remember ever hearing that. But I knew that man loved me. So what was it? What communication did we use? How did I know that he loved me? So when he did some things I did not like when I was younger, I used to just think this man is just very, very upsetting and very annoying. But the thing is that as I grew older, I knew that he was coming from a place of love. That is what balance and love does. Likely you also have the same issue. Sorry, you also have the same experience. Your parents may have not told you they love you, but you know, so they love you, die. There's such a thing. You know they love you. They know that they're not coming from a place of hate. They're not coming from a place of evil towards you. What they want is what is best for you, even though they may not be going about it the right way. Let there be a great balance between love and discipline. You don't get to discipline a child unless the child feels love, unless all you will do is just make the child feel like you enjoy disciplining them, spanking them, and being mean to them. So no matter what happens, when the times are good, when they are not misbehaving or acting out or being crazy, they should know that you love them. I love you. Say it in everything that you do, the way you do things, the way you answer them, the way you guys do work together. They should know. Celebrate their joys with them, their triumphs, celebrate it with them, that kind of thing. So that's number 5. And then of course I'm going to put a bit of a bonus. He said, pray. Do not forget to pray. James Dobson is a Christian author. He's a Christian man. Yes, so everything he talks about is how all these things work in a Christian context. So it's like you're trying to raise a Christian child without spanking. It gets very hard. So I don't know what you think. I don't know. Just leave your comment below. Should we spank a child or not spank a child? What are you doing to make it work for you as a child, or sorry, as a parent, or as somebody that is caring for young people? Is there anything that you learned from the video so far? I know that there will be a lot of disagreements. That happens a lot. If you're having disagreements from the things that we just learned from Dr. James Dobson, let me know. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button, that's the thumbs up there, and then leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Bye.